My name is Madison Theory. This is Intro to Public Speaking, and this is my persuasive speech. Have you ever wondered what a diabetic goes through on a daily basis, or what the struggles they face every day? There are so many ways where you can help them out. Today I'm going to talk about what diabetes is, what they go through on a daily basis, diabetes in adolescents, and lastly, how you can get involved. There are more than 29 million people out there in the U.S. that have diabetes, and there's even 8 million people out there that don't even know they have it. On a website I found, it talked about diabetes as a chronic disease in which high levels of glucose, which is sugar, builds up in the bloodstream. It is also insufficient production of insulin by the pancreas or resistance of the body's tissue to insulin action. Glucose is a sugar that serves as a fuel that provides energy for the body. In a healthy person, the pancreas makes enough insulin to keep the energy and the use of glucose in balance. In an article I found, it talked about in diabetes, the glucose balancing system is disrupted, and either because it makes little to no insulin. Can also be called as insulin resistance. In type 1 diabetes, the immune system attacks and destroys beta cells so that the pancreas can no longer produce enough amounts of insulin. I have a diagram that shows that the normal pancreas and the insulin compared to what a diabetic is. So the little blue things on here are the insulin keys, is what they call them. But you can see in type 1, they make none. Also, they have no way the glucose going out. They don't have that in a type 1 diabetic. The daily life of a diabetic. An article I found talked about a lady who was a radio host. She talked about how before she found out, this was like days and weeks before she found out she was type 1, she experienced having to go to the bathroom a lot, drinking lots of water, and losing lots of weight. Now she went on about this for a few days, and then she went to a doctor and found out she had type 1 diabetes. And she also talked about how it affected her life because when she used to read or watch TV, her vision was blurred from having higher blood sugars. It also said that when she went to the doctor, her blood sugar was over 500. Being a diabetic myself, you are really, really sick when you get to that level. I myself, being a diabetic, you have to poke your finger, which is a needle that draws blood, to put into your meter to test your blood. And a lot of people do that between 8 and 20 times a day. And it's just really, really hard. You have to watch everything you eat, how much exercise you do, because if you exercise too much, your levels are going to drop. Or if you eat too much, your levels are going to go too high. If your levels are high, there's many ways you can treat it, being a type 1 diabetic. This is a tester. This is how you check your levels. And you prick your finger with this, and you put it on a test strip, and that tells you what your levels are. These over here are the different types of ways for treating yourself if your levels are too high. I started out with just a simple syringe, and every time you eat, drink anything with sugar in it, you have to poke yourself with one of these. I then moved on to the pen, and the pen just you can reuse this thing and just change out the needle. With the pen and the syringe, at night we need a long-lasting insulin because these obviously don't go in all the time, meaning the insulin isn't flowing through your body all the time, so you need something that's long enough while you're sleeping. And so this is Lantus, and it's just kind of like the pen, and you have to do this once a night, every night, along with your insulin. I am now on the pump, and this does long lasting during the night, so you only have to do it once every 3 days. It makes it a little bit easier. Another thing that you have to do being a diabetic, you have to keep track of everything you eat, everything you drink, what your blood sugars are, and what foods and everything. So this is just an example, but you have to put everything in here. Okay. Another term for a type 1 diabetic is juvenile diabetes. They call it juvenile diabetes because you find out when you're in your childhood, when you're a lot younger. You can find out when you're older, but it's really rare to find out when you're older. It's been a 23% jump in the United States for children who have diabetes in just the last couple of years. Researchers don't know what causes type 1 diabetes. They're still trying to figure that out. It's just something that you're born with. They don't understand why so many kids are being born with it now. There are many, many ways that you can help support diabetes. I'll just talk about a few of them. There is the Walk for Diabetes, and there you can donate money to walk a certain distance. And there's a lot of people who do them. Me and my family have done them for many, many, many years. You can also get sponsors, so they give you money to donate while you walk for around the track or whatnot. And how you can come about doing this is like in a town or state or whatever, you can type that into Google and then put Step Out Walk for Diabetes, and they'll bring you to a couple of links. And you click on the first link usually, and it'll bring you to a site, and it says you can either donate or register at the top. And if you click on register, it'll bring you through the steps to registering for it, or you can just simply donate money to it, which is really, really helpful. Another article that I have found was about the Johnson & Johnson. They are a company or an organization that donates test strips, insulin, meters to children in developing countries. And they helped 1,300 people, or young children with diabetes. In developing countries, they don't get what they need. And so a lot of them end up being sick, and most of them sometimes die. And that's why they need your help. So the money that you donate really does go to good organizations, really does go to really, really, really help people. Diabetes is a serious disease, and yet today they still don't understand why kids get type 1 diabetes. It can cause death if it's not managed correctly. With your help, one day we will hopefully have a cure for it. After talking about what diabetes is, the daily life of a diabetic, diabetes in adolescence, and lastly how you can get involved with diabetes, I hope that you somehow find a way in your heart to help get involved with diabetes.